thank you to all of my wonderful patrons. And speaking of patrons, I have a patron shout out this week. I have a new member to the Nerds Radiant tier, which is my top tier of patrons. That patron is Heidi. Heidi, thank you so much for your support. She has been a loyal supporter of the channel for a very, very long time. And just a reminder, guys, I know I talk about my patrons a lot. You do not have to be a patron to be a vital part of the channel. Just simply watching is actually the best way to support any creator. Now, let's talk about my weekly reads. If you're new to the channel, I sit down every week, talk about all of the things that I've been reading, what I'm still currently reading, and what I plan to read next. And some of you may be going, okay, what happened to your hair? Well, it's the Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix. It scared my hair. No, I'm just kidding. It didn't scare my hair straight. So if you are a fellow curly haired person, or you're a wavy curly headed person, you might know the best way to help combat frizz is to get a keratin treatment every once in a while. I used to do them pretty regularly. They were cheap back when I lived in Mississippi. In Florida, it's double the price of a haircut and getting your hair highlighted. So I'm not going to spend $300 to get a keratin treatment. I'm just not going to do it. So I took a chance on buying one on Amazon, and I had Chris help me, and we were able to apply it. And as you can tell, it worked great because a keratin treatment will help make it easier to straighten your hair, but it also will, if you're curly haired, it will make your curls more smoother and more easily managed, which is what I need some help with in this Florida weather. Most of the time, the last couple of weeks, it's been cold as hell here. Somebody broke their air conditioner. We need to get it fixed. Okay, let's get into the books. Starting with what I have finished. All I have managed to finish is the first 3 volumes of One Piece. Now, I was only going to read one per week. It just goes out the window. I just can't stop myself reading 1 chapter per day, which could equal to be 1 volume a week. Instead, I have flown through 3. I love this series so much. I've been having a lot of fun going through and tabbing favorite moments, favorite characters, what their backstories are, just all kinds of fun things like that. So I have flown through the first 3 volumes of One Piece. I haven't finished any books, but I am very, very close to finishing several. So the first one in the currently still reading section, and I feel like I've been reading this book forever, is Wind and Truth by Brandon Sanderson. I am almost done. I should, barring any acts of God, I should finish this book this week. Maybe. I have come dangerously close to DNFing this book. It is a disgrace to the Stormlight archive, in my opinion. This book, Brandon Sanderson just totally went a different direction. He has done irreparable damage to this world, its characters, continuity. That's what I look for in a series. And when you destroy that continuity or you break it so completely, he didn't just casually decide, I'm going to change some stuff in this book that I've spent the 4 previous novels building. I get it. Experiences in your life changes a person. I get it. I like that. I commend that. But create something new from that inspiration. The changes you make, create something new, something born of you changing your mind or your stance on a situation. Write something embodying that change, those ideals, new. Give your readers something new sparked from the change that you've made. Do not decide you're going to, I wouldn't say force, but because we decided we were going to go in here and change all this stuff, it just completely breaks immersion. It has, this is a series that this was the only series of Brandon Sanderson so far that I loved. I mean, I may not make it to the end. I'm going to try because I do want to know what the outcome is of what happened in the first 4 books that I read and loved. I I'm extremely disappointed in Wind and Truth, and I can say I am not, well, I won't say never, but as of right now, I have no intention of reading the second arc of the Stormlight archives. So what else am I still currently reading? I have here so another version of this word is unanimity. Oh, maybe that's right, I'm not sure. By Alexandra Almeida. This is the first book in the science fiction series Spiral Worlds. Okay, so I think I'm very close to being halfway through this one. This is a review read that I accepted from this author, and I am unfortunately unable to report that my feelings when I started the book have continued. So I was very curious how this worked. In unanimity, there is a up above, which is where Earthlings, as they're referred to, live, carry out their daily lives. There's down below, which is a digital realm of worlds where humans are supposed to be able to go to live out or enact a scenario that allows them to get rid of their darkest urges and see what those consequences are, and then return to their earthling lives. You've purged that darkness out of yourself and you're supposed to be a better human. Okay, well, we start this off, we're meeting some main characters, and I really liked the mysteriousness behind their backstories. I was curious to see how this is going to go. One of the persons responsible for creating the Spiral Worlds was murdered, and he's been resurrected in the down below as his digital twin. So speaking of digital twin, if you are resurrected, you've died up above, you've been resurrected down below, it's considered your digital twin and you get a different name. That's very confusing because the down below people call you by your resurrected name, but the characters still think of themselves with their earthling name. That's gotten really confusing. But what I was wanting was to learn how this deal between humans going to the down below and purging these urges and then coming back and being better people. I've had one instance where I met a human who had done this and how it had changed them, made them a better human being in my opinion. But I haven't actually experienced a situation where we get to see this in action, and I'm a little disappointed by that. I was very intrigued by that idea. I really wanted to know how that worked. And this entire book, from what I understand, is just going to be about one day. That's a lot to pack into a day. I'm not quite sure. Well, I think I kind of know where it's going, but I'm not real sure. Anyhow, so I've slowed down a little bit on this one because I've just not been as interested in it. So what did I do? Well, I picked up another book. Okay, so here's what happened. I saw my friend Mike from Mike's Book Reviews. He posted a picture on Twitter. It was the arc for Grady Hendrix' new book coming out January 14th, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. I was so disappointed because I requested that book on NetGalley. Berkeley Publishing, for whatever reason that I have never been able to uncover, does not like your girl. I have been turned down for every single Berkeley book I've asked for on NetGalley. I read a lot from that publisher. I've covered a ton of books from that publisher on this channel. Some of my most favorite auto-buy authors right under the Berkeley Publishing umbrella. So it does hurt. I take it a little bit personal. Well, I got in my feelings, and then I remembered way back when Stephen Graham Jones, there was one of his new books, I don't remember which one it was. I requested it on NetGalley and was left sitting on pending for forever. Then Stephen Graham Jones got on Twitter, sent out a link, and was like, here is a read now link on NetGalley for the very same book. Well, NetGalley, for whatever crazy reason, I don't understand, everybody who was pending, they didn't just turn that into a read now button. It was left pending. And because you had requested it and it was trapped in pending, you could not click on the read now button. So a lot of us got together and we came up with this idea. Okay, we're going to create a new email, a new NetGalley account with that email so we could get the read now links. So I got to thinking, I'm just going to try this. I'm going to get under that dummy account. I'm going to request this book because, what the hell? We're so close to the publishing date. Maybe they'll give it to me. They did. And when I tell y'all, I picked that book up immediately and started reading. Y'all, I think it's going to be my favorite Grady Hendrix book ever. This is the strongest start to any of his books that I've read so far. I mean, I've only read 3, but I think this one's going to be my favorite. I'm almost done with it. It's one I don't want to put it down. It's not that I can't, I just don't want to. I love the characters. I love the time frame, which is 1970. I love the premise. And I'm going to be very honest with you. So you're looking at the title, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. So you're deducing there's going to be witchcraft. Okay. Wayward Girls. What could that mean? Well, it's 1970. And one of the big no-nos is teenagers getting pregnant out of wedlock. Specifically, it was the girl who bore the brunt of wearing that scarlet letter, and a lot of parents would send the girls away to a home where they would stay until they gave birth, and the baby would be given up for adoption, and then the girl would come home. And they always were doing something for some aunt somewhere. That was the excuse as to the disappearance of the girl from their daily lives. And y'all, before I could even think to myself, can this man write a teenage girl's perspective as someone who was pregnant and put into a home by their parents against their will? I didn't even have time to consider that. He did an amazing job, in my opinion. Now, granted, I've never been pregnant. I've never been in that situation to fully understand it from a personal perspective, but as a reader picking this book up for enjoyment, I am loving it, and I could absolutely see myself taking the same steps as one of our 4 main characters, Fern, Rose, Holly, and Xenia. I can't wait to finish that book. I hope I get a chance to finish it today. So absolutely loving that one. It comes out January 14th. If you love Grady Hendrix, you love horror, you love books about witches or witchcraft, but I do understand. That's why I wanted to mention it's about young girls getting pregnant outside of wedlock. I understand that that could be something that will affect some of you, so I wanted to make sure I pointed out what that was specifically. But y'all, I mean, it's good. So now we're going to slide into the TBR portion of the video. What am I planning to read next? So currently I've got Alexandra Almeida's Unanimity going. As soon as I finish this book, my next read that I accepted a review request for is going to be Credible Threats by Daniel Meyer. Now, this one popped up on my TBR a few months ago. Things got crazy at the end of 2024. But we're going to try and bring that down. We're going to be calm. We're going to be cool, collected. We got a plan going for 2025. I'm going to get through some of these that I've been trying to get through the last few months. This one has been compared to the Dresden Files series by Jim Butcher. Y'all know that's one of my favorite series of all times. I reread that one, 5 or 6 times, the current books, which I think we're going to get the next book in that series by the end of this year. I'm going to manifest that to this year. So Credible Threats is an urban fantasy mystery. It's about Sam Adams, a 16-year-old wizard. I am excited. This one was entered, I want to say it was in one of the recent SBFBO contests. Did really well. A lot of my friends have read it and loved it, so I know I'm going to have a good time with it. So Credible Threats is going to be my next review read as soon as I finish Unanimity. I'm also going full steam on my One Piece reread. I've got volumes 4, 5, and 6. I just wanted to play it safe and go ahead and mention 3 at a time since I've been plowing through these. So I'm going to be working on my One Piece read. This is my morning coffee read. I'm going to get up, I'm going to have that first cup of coffee while the house is still quiet. I'm going to sit down, snuggle up with a blanket, and just have a good time reading a manga to let my brain wake up and get moving for the day. And then it's time for one that I am incredibly excited for, The Curse of the Mist Wraith by Janie Wirtz. I am not going to be reading this mass market paperback copy, but I do keep it handy so I can just smell it. This book smells so good. I don't know what it is about this one, but it is the perfect mix of ink and paper, even though it is the wrong size for mature readers. And I don't mean mature as in mentally, I mean mature as in age, because I can't. And you can't. You just cannot comfortably read a mass market paperback. I mean, you have to break the spine to read the words all the way at the end of the page, and I'm not about that life. I like my books to look the same as when I finish reading them as when I got them. So I'm really excited to get started on this one. There's a lot of people that have already started the Wars of Light and Shadow read along that's hosted over on the Discord server for Talking Story. I'm going to list John's Discord server in the description below, so if you want to get in on this read along, you absolutely can. I'm not even sure that John himself has started this one. I don't think Jacob has either, so plenty of time to get involved in that if you're interested. And I believe that is going to do it for this week's reads. The only other things I've been up to this week besides reading all of the wonderful books I've been talking about here today, I have been watching a lot of basketball, a lot of Magic, Orlando Magic basketball. At the time of filming, tonight is the game. Our #1 scoring player, Paolo Banchero, makes his return to the court against the Milwaukee Bucks. I cannot wait, but I'm gonna be out there throwing some elbows. Any of those Bucks mess with my boy, there better not be any ugly, mean, flagrant contact against Paolo Banchero. We are going to fight. I am disappointed. My favorite player for the Magic is not Paolo Banchero or Franz Wagner. It is Jalen Suggs, #4. That kid plays with so much heart. It's impossible not to love him. So I'm going to be watching the game tonight. I'm so excited. I've been playing a lot of Overwatch 2 still. I have just had so much fun getting back into that video game. I think I've knocked all the dust off of my playstyle. I'm ready to do my placement matches and get into the competitive play for that one. Maybe I'll stream my placement matches. That would be so funny. No, I better not, because if I do that, I know I'm going to mess up and make some mistakes, and then I'm going to get placed lower than I want to be, which isn't bad. You can dig yourself out of the hole pretty easily. I don't know. Let me know. I don't know. Maybe I will. Probably won't. Who knows? But I've also been watching a lot of TV. I've had a lot of stuff to get caught up on. Season 5 of Yellowstone. Oh my gosh. I think we binged that in a weekend. I cried and cried and cried and cried, but it was so good. Also watched part 2 of season 6, I think it is, for Cobra Kai. It's the most recent one. I am not a fan of how Netflix is choosing to release the series. We had part 1, which was, I believe, 6 episodes way back when. Just recently in November, we got part 2, and then we're going to have several months before we get part 3. Do not like that at all. That was a terrible idea. Netflix, please go back to your model of where you release a whole season at a time. I mean, I get what you're doing. You want people to pay that subscription for a few months rather than just the month that they want to watch the show, but come on. And then I've started, but haven't finished, the Special Ops Lioness Season 2. If you have not watched that show, you are missing out. If you haven't made the connection yet, Yellowstone, Lioness both have the same writer, Taylor Sheridan. I'm a huge fan of Taylor Sheridan. I don't think he's written anything that I've watched that I have not just absolutely adored, though I think my favorite is still The Mayor of Kingstown with Jeremy Renner. If you've watched those shows, let me know in the comments down below what your favorite is, or if you have a different favorite by Taylor Sheridan. Hit me up, because if I haven't watched it, I'm going to put it on my watch list. So that's it for me. That's a wrap on this week in the life of me. No updates on the ear yet, but I go next week. So when I check in with y'all next weekend, I'll be able to tell y'all what my ENT says. I haven't had any drainage. I haven't had any pain. Still cannot hear well, but that's because it takes a while for that hole to close up. But y'all just keep your fingers crossed that that is healing. That's what we're hoping for, but I'll have more on that next week. And a lot of y'all have reached out with some sweet messages and just good healing thoughts and vibes sent in my way, so I do appreciate you for that. Thank y'all so much. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will see you next week. Thanks again to all of the patrons of the Nerdy Narrative, with a special shout out to the Nerds Radiant: Ev, Sharon, Kate, Andrew, Amanda, Ann, Tara, Star, Gail, John, Chad, Wilbur, and Heidi.